Mills fashions a kick back towards the wing for Lady! Left now, lines them up. It's coming back. Hawks is the biggest man there.
G'day guys, welcome to Red Time. Jared Barker, Mason Cox back for episode 18 of talking all the latest in the world of footy. Coxy, what's going on?
Man, just living the dream. Living the dream day by day. Short week. Got Hawthorn on a Thursday this week. So
yeah, 5-day break.
Yeah, 5-day break. So it's been
not a lot of training.
Not a lot of training. A lot of recovery. Not much training.
What goes into the recovery?
Man, shout out to a little place called Inner Studio. Ex-teammate Ben Sinclair owns it. It's a bit of hot bath, cold bath, sauna, therapy kind of stuff. So been there a couple times and just kind of sleeping quite a bit and just kicking back.
Nice. Well, it's crunch time of the season now. Every game just matters that little bit more, I think, and a massive occasion on Thursday night as well, which we'll touch on later. But before we get there, we're going to start with the big news of the week, and that is the sacking of Melbourne coach Simon Goodwin, premiership coach, we should say. So
wild.
Broke that 57-year drought in 2021, the first premiership flag in 1964. The board came to the decision this week to sack him. As we said, they had failed to win a final since that premiership win. They exited the final series in straight sets in their 2 years following 2021 as well. So they've made that call. Now, I'm just interested to know what your thoughts are on this from the players' perspective, because you went through something similar with Nathan Buckley in 2021. I just want to know what the immediate reaction is like from the players when there is an off-field change at the club, a change that you guys aren't in control of.
Yeah, it's a weird situation because for a lot of those players, probably like Simon's been their coach through their whole career. So it's just almost this like hole is left where you go, okay, like there's definitely going to be a transition to something new. And it's going to be a totally different face. And you're kind of somewhat nervous at times because you go, okay, well, now I have to essentially try to prove myself all over again as if I'm in my first year to prove that I'm AFL worthy for this team. So, and everyone's kind of on the chopping block. And you look at a lot of the stress that goes around the place. A lot of coaches and staff are on 1-year deals or a 2-year deal. And whenever a head coach leaves, obviously there's other people that leave with that coach. And I think that puts stresses on the environment as a whole. And it just gets to a point where it's it can be a little bit cutthroat, obviously, sport, and you just kind of know that there's going to be this immediate change in the next 4 to 5 months that's going to change a lot of faces, and maybe for the better, maybe for the worse. It just kind of depends on the player, really, and kind of where they sit with the coach or the new coach, and there's just a lot of uncertainty. And they've got the new guy coming over and taking over, Troy, and it's an interesting position for him to be in also. 3 weeks left in the season. You're not making finals. You got to try to hype your players up to play for you and try to win for you. Where, to be honest with you, probably a lot of players are somewhat checking out. Like, if you're not making finals, what are you playing for? Like, is it a contract next year or something else? I'm not sure.
Play with a bit of freedom now, though. You never know.
Oh yeah,
there's actually a good record. Like, it's called the bounce back, right? When a coach gets sacked, the teams actually have a pretty good record that following week.
Oh, I think that's the best thing as a coach you can do is just say, hey, we essentially have nothing to lose here. Let's just try out some stuff and see. Maybe there's something we have been wanting to try that we just haven't really been able to because we've been under the pump of the pressure of maybe a sacking or us not playing so well that we've had to stick to this kind of game plan. Maybe we just kind of scrap it and just do a bit of something different. So there's definitely an opportunity in it, I think, but a lot of stress for the people involved, that's for sure.
How hard is it to shift the mindset, though, and the focus of the playing group? Because you just said it then, right? They've only got 3 weeks to go. You guys, I think, had about half a season with Robert Harvey in charge, so you still had a little bit to prove and play for. These guys have 3 weeks to do it. Like, how quickly does that mindset shift? What does it shift to, and then how do you actually do that in such a short space of time?
It's a tough position to be in for coaches and players. You try to have the mindset and try to find positivity around it. And I think the biggest thing is the people are still there. You try to really bond with them and say, hey, like, we're in this together. This is experience of the players as a group. We've lost our kind of leader in a sense. He's gone away, but for the majority of the players there, the consistency is going to be most of those players are still going to be in the room in a year's time. So you have to understand that, yes, the face of the leader might have changed or might change next year, but the people that are involved are all still going to be the same. So you still need to have that bond in a sense to understand, hey, leaders need to step up, maybe take some more responsibility, maybe do a little bit more coaching on ground in game to be able to help try to get the team over the line, try to get a win. And maybe a bit more responsibility falls onto the people that have been around the club for a longer time to try to take over some of that responsibility that the head coach was providing.
Yep. I think what they've done well now is get a head start on other clubs too, because obviously the next thing for them to do is look at replacing Simon Goodwin and find the right fit for him. I mean, Troy Chaplin only has 3 games now to sort of prove his worth. It's pretty stiff if he wants the gig, and maybe they know him more than we do, obviously, and know what his capabilities are. He's been selected as the caretaker for a reason, but I think it depends on what direction they want to take here, Coxy. You can go with the new voice, the fresh ideas, and the first timer like you guys did with the Craig McRae, or you can get the experienced head who comes from different sorts of success, Adam Simpson and John Longmire, Nathan Buckley, Ken Hinkley's obviously leaving Adelaide at the end of this year as well. So there's options there. They can take a lot of different directions, but I think what they've done well is get on the front foot, even though it's later in the year. I think it is. You can still say it's the front foot because, as I said, they've got their head start on other clubs now, and you're probably not making this decision unless you know what's out there and you know that there's a good option that might fit your club and what you need.
Yeah, I think the straight sets going out in finals has always put a bit of a, I think a negative mindset for a lot of the fans of Melbourne because like you win a grand final and then straight sets. It's one of those things where you start to have expectation.
And they were such a good team in those 2 years.
And they still are. They still have
finishes,
plenty of talent there at Melbourne, but it's just not clicking. And I think you have that expectation after you win a grand final. If you go straight sets, it's tough as a fan to see that, and as a player to have your fans kind of almost expect that out of you, and then if you don't perform, they turn on you at times. And I think that's probably somewhat of the nail in the coffin. Obviously, there's been other things that have kind of come out with Melbourne and issues they've kind of had, but I think from a fan's perspective, the board obviously rely on the fans' opinions of things that are going on, and that's kind of the direction they go with. And whenever that kind of happens, I think the Melbourne fans can be quite brutal in a sense. They have high expectations. Got a lot of money over there, so they got a lot of expectations. So, it's a tough position to be in. You never want to see a coach get sacked. You don't want to see anyone lose their job, I will say the one positive out of this, though.
Oh, give it to me.
He was contracted 2026, so you best believe Simon Goodwin was going to be sitting there
getting the payout.
Just sipping pina coladas up in Bali with the new team, the Bali Geckos.
That's a good way to look at it. You're always trying to see
the get paid
the
out.
silver lining in things. I like that about you, Cox.
Yeah, it's a glass half full scenario, right?
That's very
They
good.
screw you over, but you end up having a year of fun.
I would hope that the last couple of years of a bit of turmoil doesn't tarnish his legacy. He will always be remembered as the drought-breaking premiership coach.
And doing it
That's
during COVID was crazy enough.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right. Good young players, Langford, Lindsay, Caleb Windsor, still a lot of experience there. I reckon they'll be okay. Moving on.
My boy Pickett's there for another 20 years too, so that'll help.
Who?
Pickett.
Oh, yeah.
Pickett.
What was it, a 30-year deal?
30-year deal.
$5 million a year, something like that. We're going to talk about player-media relationship, the trust between the two parties here. So Jack Ginnivan was approached by a Channel 7 reporter at the Adelaide airport, the Hawks coming home from interstate after their game against the Crows last week. So he flipped the bird to the crowd after the loss and made a cheeky comment on social media saying it best coin ever spent, just in Jack Ginnivan style, being a little bit cheeky.
Love that.
There was a reporter there who somewhat ambushed him and questioned him over that.
Somewhat?
I think it was... I'll call it an awkward exchange, almost embarrassing exchange. I think the reporter's been widely criticised online for her approach. Ginnivan's got his role in this as well. I think the overall situation here, though, with the player and the media, like, how do you feel, firstly, about being door-stopped like that? Because I'd imagine it'd be pretty uncomfortable.
It's just silly. Like, we've got to the point at our club, like we used to get door-stopped quite a bit going into the club. We now have a relationship with our media team to say, hey, like, we will answer your questions at the due time. Do not interact with our players coming in and out of the club, because it's just, you're going to create a division and a disdain for each one. Because players don't answer questions, because players also are being hassled by media in their essentially private time. This whole scenario, her stopping him, felt like I was watching a current affair. Like, it was just like a weird interaction of you don't see sports media really saying, it wasn't necessarily that she approached him. I understand that we've tried to tell the media that that's inappropriate, and sometimes obviously the media doesn't care what we say, but I think the questions she asked him were just almost like more personal than rather this.
I mean, there was an
like,
obvious, there was
like,
a pestering.
are you a sore loser? Like
Yeah.
it was just kind of like a childish question trying to bait him into something. And it's like, if we're gonna get to that, you know what's gonna happen? Hawthorne's gonna go, oh, you know what? You want to talk to our players like that? We're just not gonna give you any access whatsoever,
Yeah.
and you won't hear from our coaches, our players, or anyone. And then you know what? You can write your own stories. Doesn't matter because it's not gonna be part of us.
Yep.
And you look at North Melbourne's done that. Like I think more teams should do it. Whenever you have an inappropriate situation that happens from the media towards the AFL or a player or a team, they should be sanctioned by essentially silence.
Accountability?
100%.
Yeah.
Well, like, and if you're writing stories about us, and if you want our opinion, then you can sit there and like have it done in a proper manner at a press conference, and we'll answer those questions. You don't go and chase us around in our personal time trying to get answers inappropriately like that. And the way it was asked was like it was very childish, I thought, in a way. And you look at even like the social media, like 7 News Adelaide put it up on their socials, and it's like, oh, okay, so you're essentially acknowledging that you're wanting clickbait here. And then they turned the comments off because they realized that it was inappropriate the way it was handled and the way it went about it, but they don't take it down from the social media. So it's like, well, you're doing wrong, but you're just buying into it and you're leaning into it and you're trying to get all the benefits without trying to get any of the criticism.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just not how the world works. If you're going to do that, you need to be reprimanded in some shape or form or fashion or whatever it is. And they're seeing feedback from people saying this is like kind of inappropriate. I wouldn't want that to happen at my job.
Yep.
Like, I think the average person is saying that. So yeah, I don't agree with it whatsoever. And I've got so much love for Jack, and the media always asks for characters in the game, and Jack provides that.
Yep,
and then whenever they come at him for doing things, obviously given the bird, probably not ideal, Jack.
He got fined for it, and that's
he got fined.
and
he gets that, and he understands that, and he accepted that, and he paid the fine.
But the pestering and the trying to get a reaction is a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought it was unnecessarily confrontational.
Yeah.
But I guess, like you said, these sort of moments maybe make players a bit more guarded and reluctant 100%. To be open to media, which is what's disappointing about this. Now, we're not going to pump up our own tires here, but I want to ask, like the forums of podcasting and social media, are players more comfortable with that more than the traditional media now?
Well, yeah, I think what social media does is it gives you a platform to be able to have your own opinion. Whereas previously that was never a thing. Like there's only mainstream media. So you never would really have the option, and news cycles came and gone so quickly that it was tough to actually get your opinion in there.
Yeah.
Where nowadays you can react right away and say like, yeah, I don't appreciate this. I don't think it's appropriate, or whatever it may be. And you see the way media is going. Mainstream media is in a little bit of a crisis at the moment.
Yeah.
Because they're starting to see everyone's attention go away from them. And I think this whole actions like this are proof of that. Because they're really struggling to get people's attention, that they're willing to go to certain lengths to try to get that from them, which is inappropriate in some terms. And don't. It's like, what do they call it? The pot calling kettle black. It's like, don't say we want characters and then go and do this.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't feel like the whole thing with Jack. I feel so bad for him because his experience of AFL has been, I would be so like scarred, and
it's quite unfortunate that he's almost an easy target now for these outlets
every single time. And like, yes, I understand he debates it a little bit, and he's that character. Like
he plays into it a bit.
Yeah, I'm not looking past that, but I just think like since he's come into the game at 18, 19 years old, the way the media has handled him and the way that it's been dealt with is disgusting. Like absolutely disgusting. And like, I'm not going to look past it. Jack does incentivize some of it in the way he acts and the character that he is.
His comment of, best coin ever spent, I'm okay. That's fine. That's funny. It's okay. I think it's a bit cheeky, but
I think if it was those reporters' kids at 19 years old, if it was that CEO of Seven's kid at 18, 19 years old, and they treated him like that, he would have a very different opinion of the way they're doing it.
I think that's a pretty good point, but yeah, as I said, unfortunately for Jack, it just seems like he's going to be the one that
always
that they go after. There's always an important balance here between that, as you said, accountability, the being ethical and respecting boundaries and things like that. And yeah, I mean, there's a role. There's two parties here, right? The role of the media and the reporter in that instance. I mean, 7 News obviously wanted to send them down there to get a reaction and to get a story, but
I'll pump up I'll pump up other news outlets here in Melbourne. At the Collingwood Football Club, and this might be relationships with media, we have not had an issue like that in a long time.
That's good.
It'd been years, pretty much since Craig came in.
To be fair, it isn't.
We haven't had too many issues with that.
Yeah, probably isn't wildly frequent, but it is disappointing when it does happen. Regardless.
Yep.
Tom Stewart's fine, so he's been fined $3,000. Which is probably a good result for him after his overzealous smother attempt. We'll call it an overzealous attempt. That's the word that I use anyway. On Ollie Wines. So Wines was collected high. It's pretty much identical to what Braden Maynard did to, I guess, Brayshaw in 2023 in that final, which left Brayshaw concussed. Wines did play the rest of the game, so he wasn't concussed. The Maynard incident led to a rule change because the AFL weren't happy that he was able to play on and wasn't rubbed out for that collision, which was that these incidents where your feet leave the ground, you launch yourself into the air, if you do that, you're now liable for whatever happens, or you're responsible for the outcome that ensues. And these sort of incidents are now just automatically careless, which means the MRO absolutely has to grade it, which is why Tom Stewart got a fine. Braden Maynard didn't at the time because there was a rule change. So do you think the MRO got this one right? Is he stiff to get a fine, or do you think it's fair?
I think the fine is probably where we land. I think the Braden Maynard thing is such a controversy every time I talk about it. I feel like everyone's got such extreme opinions on it. I think both sides of the coin can be right. I think there's certain points where you go, yes, the action, once you're in the air, you can't manipulate your body to miss people and stuff like that, and I get it. Do I think, this is something the AFL is trying to stamp out? Yeah. And I think this is, at minimum, always going to be a fine whenever you make contact with someone, and then based on the outcome of whether or not their concussion play on is essentially if you're missing games or not.
Well, the same action will be potentially a 3+ game suspension if Wines was concussed, because it'd be graded as severe instead of low impact, which is actually one of the points I wanted to make here, that there's a potential to cause injury clause in the tribunal rulings that wasn't used to elevate the impact from low to a medium, which would equate to 1 week. They didn't use the potential to cause injury in this instance, so it stayed as a fine, which was interesting to me. I would have assumed that they would have done that and given him 1 week.
Yeah.
But I still think it was assessed correctly at high, careless, and low impact. I think that's correct. We know it's not malicious. We know it is a smother attempt, but we know it is now deemed dangerous.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it being a fine because I understand the rule change. I understand the importance of trying to stamp out head knocks and things like that, protect the head. But I still think you need to be careful with. Let's maintain the difference between and understand the difference between outcome and action. Like the action should matter more, but the outcome still needs to be taken into account. Because if you're just suspending an action with no outcome, you're going to be suspending more things than you probably realise. So I still think the outcome's important, even though the action should matter more. So I'm happy with a fine. If it was 1 week, I'm not up in arms because I would understand the change. That's where I sit with it.
This is the thing. You move the situation to 3 weeks' time, 4 weeks' time.
Yeah.
It'd be a different scenario.
Well, they're not common actions though, right?
Yeah.
It's not like this happens often. We're talking about we're going back to Braden Maynard, which was 2 years ago. This is probably the first time this launch into the air, smother, intercept attempt has actually occurred.
But because Braden Maynard's was such a controversy, this now has become something people will talk about every time it happens. And it might only happen once every 2 years, but they'll essentially go straight back to whenever it was changed because of the way it was handled whenever Braden did it. So I think that we've landed. I'm pretty comfortable with this of like just the fine. If he's injured, I guess you could say a week or whatever it might be. The biggest thing is just consistency. If this is the way we're going to go from the future, just stick to it. That's all I'm asking from the AFL. I know it's a crazy idea, but I'm just saying consistency is key.
Consistency is key.
From a guy who struggles to commit to anything in his life.
I love that statement. Hey, we're going to try something new this week. We're introducing a new segment here. It's called Start, Bench, Drop. We're going to throw statements at each other. And we're going to play the role of selector on these statements. I'm going to throw to you the first one.
Can you explain what start, bench, and drop is?
You're
essentially yes, maybe, no.
Essentially, yeah.
Kind of.
You're going to start it if you agree. You're going to drop it if you don't agree. You're going to put something on the bench if you're like, not here nor there.
Yeah, okay.
If you see both sides.
I like it.
If you want to put it that way. First one for you,
all right.
I've got here. So Steele Sidebottom will go down as the most underrated Magpie of all time.
Oh, jeez. I'll start that. I agree. I think it's one of those things that, if it's kind of, I don't know. He's played this 350 games this weekend. I don't know how many people. I think it's maybe like 4 or 5. I think Collingwood players ever played 350 games. Played the whole time with the same club. Also, like big tick. but we talked about this previously, is because Pendles is doing it alongside of him. It just takes the shine away from it almost, or takes like the impact of it, because and it also kind of helps at the same time because they're doing it together, which is quite beautiful within itself. They talk about the most games played together and things like that too. But because Pendles has got a little bit more games on him, and he's obviously a bit more of a personality in the media, Pendles, I feel as though Steele sometimes doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. That's not Pendle's fault by any means, but I do think we look back at this in 10 years, 15 years time, we'll go, holy smokes, look at how many games played by these guys, and you go, oh my gosh, Steele Sidebottom, what a gun. I've kind of like, because he probably won't do media once he's done.
I've always wondered what sort of regard we would hold Steele Sidebottom in if Pendlebury wasn't there.
Yeah.
Through no fault of his own, because he has been a gun for a long time. We all know that.
Yeah, but Pendles was also the captain, and he's got all those other accolades that kind of go with him. But
it was Dane Swan and Pendlebury ahead of Sidebottom while he was still always performing. He sort of just quietly crept up to this, didn't he?
But he's always been like that. He's always been a humble guy, and he's not one to, to ask for the main stage lights, but he's always performed under him. And it's something I think, at 350 games isn't, some small accomplishment. It's pretty cool to be able to even be alongside someone that's been able to accomplish something like that. So it's a credit to him. And who knows? We might be a bit more appreciative of it in 5 or 10 years' time.
Have you got a favourite Steele Sidebottom moment?
I've got a lot, but I think the biggest one for me is, the older you get, the more, and especially over the last 2 to 3 years, we've got this amazing culture where you can bring family into the club. Whenever I first met Steele, he didn't have kids or anything like that. So it's been cool to be able to see him grow as a person, become a father. His kids will come in, go for a swim, at the, in the hot bath or whatever it is while we're all training. And it's just kind of a cool thing to have, the family involved in work and be able to share those memories with them. And I think, that's something you just kind of admire from the, the outside, in a sense of his family, just to see how much they're actually included in the club and how much joy they get out of it. Because he's got 20 brothers. Yeah. This man, I'm
20.
telling you.
Not 30,
20, but he's got a fair amount, essentially half of Shepparton's somewhat related to him.
Yeah.
But he's always brings a crowd with him. But he's the nicest guy, always looking out for other people and stuff. And, you can't really say a bad thing about him.
Yeah, I would have thought the premiership winning goal in the 2023 grand final might have been your call there for favourite moment, but it is always good to see that and hear the other side of the things that we probably don't hear much of, which is the sort of family person that he is and who the players are behind the scenes. So
I would say it's more important the person than the player. I'll ask you. Okay, we'll go to this one.
This is next, yes.
This is an interesting one. Gold Coast should end its partnership with the NT. Do you agree or no?
Well, this came because of reports on Channel 7, who we just spoke about, that there were certain factions of the club that were considering getting out of that partnership, but the CEO came out and refuted those claims. I thought it was interesting to talk about regardless. I'm going to bench it. Because I can sort of see both sides. I like seeing both sides in this.
Yes, of course.
In everything in life. I think they've won their last 8 there in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So they've got that competitive advantage over other teams who struggle to play in those conditions. But then it's you sort of want to grow the game in the Gold Coast, so having more home games can't be seen as a bad thing either. And they only had 2 games at People First Stadium in the first 12 rounds this season.
Jeez.
So I can see both sides of it. That's why I'm putting it on the bench.
Yeah. I think you have to have some team that's aligned with the Northern Territory. I think they need to have some kind of. It's such a big deal footy up there. Yeah. I think they need to have some team that they feel as though is their team. Yeah. Right. So whether it's the Gold Coast Suns or someone else, someone needs to be consistently playing up there and being able to build a fan base.
Another one for you. Geelong should be allowed to play its finals at GMHBA Stadium.
Ooh, how much money do they want is a better question. That's what it always comes down to. I do kind of... I to and fro this a little bit, so I'll bench this. But I think you want to play in front of a home crowd. But, Geelong fans do travel to the MCG. Don't get me wrong.
It's not that. It's not 50 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways. We could travel to GMHBA at the same point. But... I think it comes down to finals. They want the biggest audience. They want the the experience of the MCG, 100,000 people and all that. I think that's what it comes down to. But it becomes, I guess, you're technically playing closer to home. But then if you're playing if you play Melbourne or Richmond in a final, then technically you're actually further away from home as you consider your own kind of stadium. Then they would be to the MCG. So I get it. But let's be honest. At the end of the day, it comes down to putting bums on seats, and there's more seats in the MCG than GMHBA, and that's just the cold hard facts.
Surely they would want to play there, given the grand finals there anyway. The more you
Yeah, you think you'd want to like kind of get a bit of experience there. You know, the pressure of finals.
Yep.
But they're a team that's got plenty of experience, that's for sure. We've got another one. Jack Martin will be this year's biggest finals X factor.
I think I'm going to say bench again. We're sitting on the fence here a little bit, but I tried to go through like the injury list and who's to come back. I mean, I wrote Jordan DeGoey here. He's starting to come back into fitness. Adam Treloar, Josh Rochelle, Kyle Lohman, Brent Daniels. So I think there's a few finals X factors coming up. Jack Martin is one of them. So he had the quickest 4-goal burst since 2000 on the weekend. He's always been a gun. Like he's always performed at Carlton. He just never strung too many games consecutively together, which was a real shame because of the talent that he is. But it's good to see him fit and firing at the Cats. He's played a bit off half-back, a bit forward. So we know what damage he can do. I think he's an X factor and a player to watch, but I'm not willing to say he's the biggest one yet.
I'm going to drop this. I'm going to go for a man, Logan Morris. He absolutely snagged a few goals on us last week. Six on us last week. So I think him, young kid with plenty of confidence. There's no doubt about that. Good player. I think he could be an absolute X factor in finals. So I'll go with Logan Morris.
Brodie Grundy is locked in as the starting AA ruckman.
I lock it in, Eddie.
Yeah.
Starting AA ruckman, his last 3 to 10 weeks, let's be honest.
3 to 10. Just say 10.
I would say 3 weeks have been incredible. 10 weeks have been very good.
His last 4 to 13 weeks.
Yeah. His into his season. Awesome. And don't get me wrong, Sydney's not making finals this year, but Brodie has definitely been the standout player that's been there. That's been healthy the whole year, has been performing to what they expected him whenever they brought him over there, and he's been probably exceeding that, to be honest with you. Yeah. And I got a lot of love for the man because he's a good friend of mine, but what he's been able to do over the last little chunk is impressive, and it's tough to sit there and go, someone else is more deserving than him. Tristan Xerri, he was the other person that's a maybe, but he's been essentially, I think he's got, 2 weeks?
Yep.
He's got suspension 2 or 3 weeks. So
he's back this week. Yeah.
He's back this week, but I think because he's been out for the last little chunk, Brodie's been performing so well, people have almost looked past him to go, Brodie Grundy's the lock.
We've got him in our rolling AA on espn.com.au/AFL, so check it out if you guys want. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Oh, I love it.
Another one?
All right, I got the next one. West Coast should make teams pay the maximum for NGAs and bid as much as possible in this year's draft.
That's something that I'm starting. I'm sick of the little sneaky
you want the petty
handshake agreements between clubs. You help us out this year. We'll help you out next year or later in the draft. No, you're only one team wins the premiership. You don't share the premiership together. You don't say, we had a hand in that because we helped them recruit this bloke. Bid, make bids. It's already the NGA stuff. It's already a rort with the whole bidding process right now. You got Brisbane and the Gold Coast. We're going to clean up in this year's draft because they got 2 of the top prospects. Well, I think in our latest power rankings that Jasper Chalapa, our draft expert, does, he's got 5 or 6 NGAs in the top 20 right now. So they're tied to clubs that are potentially going to be top 4 when you got struggling clubs like West Coast who won't have access to them. So I'm saying, they're going to play at these clubs. Just make them pay the maximum price. Please. I don't understand why you don't just bid, make clubs pay.
Part of me would love just to see the drama that would happen if you essentially say, hey, NGA Academy boy, he's coming to us. And then you just flip the coin. Once West Coast says we want him, you go, sorry, just joking the whole time. Yeah. You can have him. You can have your 6th full forward and see how you go.
But seriously, though, it's even like the Nick Dacos one didn't get bid on until pick 4. I think it was just bid on him and make Collingwood pay. All of these guys, NGAs and academies are always a rort as it is. So just seriously, father son keep, but I'm just God, I don't know why clubs help each other out for. So hopefully that's something that we see. We're going to move on to don't be surprised if final segments. Time to look ahead. Don't be surprised if both Tom Duday and Nat Fyfe have big roles to play for their respective sides for the remainder of the season. So no Ryan Lester in concussion protocols for the Lions. Heading into this week, he's strung a lot of VFL games together this season, has Tom, and hasn't played for a couple seasons with the multiple ACL setbacks. So I think he can play a role. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. And Nat Fyfe as well. He's come back from a calf issue and picked up 28 touches in a best on ground performance for Peel Thunder on the weekend as well. He managed minutes as well. He played less than 3 quarters and did that. So he's probably ready to go as well. So I think they're both guns at their absolute peak. So hopefully we can see them on the big stage in the coming few weeks.
Love that. Wishing all the best for Nat Fyfe too. 'Cause he's a good man. Great man.
Yep.
Played him against Fremantle. Speaking to him before the game. Just one of the good guys of the AFL. Just an absolute legend. I'll go. Don't be surprised. Now this came out recently. Matthew Pavlich has moved from Perth over to Sydney to become the Swans CEO. And to be honest, I think he's going to be there for 10 years plus.
Ooh, a decade.
I don't know why, but I love Matt's a really intelligent guy. Gets it, switched on. Very smart businessman. So. And I think Sydney's just that, right? Sydney's a very kind of like well put together club. They got brand new facilities. They got a lot going for them at the moment. And the fact that Matt's just signed on, I think, is another big booster in their whole kind of culture. So I've got Matt Pav being there for a very long time. And congratulations, brother. You're a good man.
Yeah, he's been involved in a few different AFL roles, AFLPA and rules committee and things like that. So he knows his stuff. I think that's a good selection as well. Don't be surprised if Jeremy Cameron boots more than 6 goals on Friday night. I've been told by some people in the office this is a little bit weak. I didn't go hard enough.
I agree.
I mean, I'm saying this because he kicked 6 against the Bombers last time. He's seeking 100. He's got teammates looking for him. I forgot to tell you this too. I asked Champion Data like how often he's been targeted this season by his teammates. So he's been targeted 3.9 times on average in his first 10 games of this season. And on average in his last 10 games of this season, he's had 8.8 targets, which is more than
He's only been targeted 3.9
in his first 10 games on average, 3.9 times. And in his last 10 games, he was targeted 8.8 times. But this is only inside 50 targets, so kicks from out beyond the inside 50. If you've got the ball 40 metres out and you pass it to him, that isn't tracked in these numbers. So it would be more than that, but they're clearly looking for him a little bit more, and they've already said that
no one has more of a license than Jeremy Cameron this weekend.
Well,
just like
it's going to be
do what you want.
It's going to be 6+.
I'll put him down for almost. I'll almost go 12. I know that sounds absurd. Absolutely absurd.
So disrespectful, and I love it as well.
I literally think if they get a chance, Paddy Dangerfield takes a mark inside the square. He will handball backwards so that he can snap one over his shoulder.
Pretty sure Paddy's being rested this week.
Is he? Okay.
He's being managed.
Whoever else. Martin will not do it. Who knows? But I think he's slum down for 12.
It's 12 goals.
I mean, like Essendon's not making finals, so they're going to sit there and go, yeah, cool. Like, they're essentially top 4, Geelong. So what do you have to lose? Why not?
I agree. Yep.
They'll look kind of wild. All right, last, don't be surprised. My boy Razor Ray is back in the building. He's umpiring the AFLW. And great for the game to see. And I think, and I hope.
Great character.
A great character. I think he's just like, we want more characters in this game. Keep saying this. And I think it's going to be great to see, that experience going to the AFLW to help out some of the other umpires. And I do hope that this becomes a consistent theme so that we can try to give as much experience and try to level up as many umpires as quickly as possible, whether it be AFLW, AFL, whatever it is. So big shout out to Razor Ray, and hopefully this continues.
So your favourite umpire of all time?
They're all my favorites.
They're all your favourite? Who's your favourite child type of question?
Who's my least favourite? I got a list of 20. No, I'm joking, right? I love them all.
They all gave me free kicks, right? Yeah. They all saw my arm being held every contest. We'll leave it there, mate. Hey, enjoy Steele's 350th on Thursday night. It's going to be a massive occasion. So.
Don't forget, Harry Perriman's 152. Gotta shout him out.
Oh, that's so stiff, isn't it?
Stiff.
Being celebrated as well.
Steele had my 100th was on Steele's 300th, so it's a little bit of an overshadow.
In the club, is he getting a highlights package as well?
I hope so. I mean, we've mentioned it a few times, obviously. Steele's definitely gotten the big celebration, but it is 150 games, no small feat. So I'm gonna be wearing a Harry Perriman 150 shirt, I think.
Indeed.
Rock up to it.
Mate, go well. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thanks to everyone at home for watching or listening. We'll speak to you next time.